Okay, everyone. Coming at you live here. All I have to do is set up our stuff really quick, and there we go. All right. So, welcome, everyone. This is going to be Cancer's reading from November 15th, 2021 to December 1st, 2021. So, about 2 weeks worth of readings here, and this is going to be your love reading. Okay. So let's see what we can find for the love reading for Cancer. Let's kind of focus on what would be a good little thing to jump in here. Let's see what we can find. So let's shuffle these cards here. Let's do this about 3 times. Oh, there's the first card here. All right, let's do another shuffle here, another quick shuffle. There we go. And let's do one more shuffle here. I'm feeling like there's one more. It feels like there's one more shuffle, so let's do one more shuffle. Okay, one more shuffle. Here we go. All right, so we have got... Wow, this is interesting. Okay, so let's move on to these cards here, and let's talk about this. All right, I'm going to take a drink. Big old coffee from Starbucks right here. Don't worry. Don't worry. It is monk fruit primarily, and 2 espresso shots and coffee. So it's good. It's not too bad for me. No. All right. So for Cancer, all right, for the love reading, first card we get is this card here. Spiritual maturity. Okay. You'll see an eye up at the very top of this card. You'll also see a moon next to the eye, and then you'll see a winding path and 2 people getting ready to go up that path. Okay? So what does this mean? Spiritual maturity in a love reading like this would be something along the lines of realizing that some relationships just are not meant for you and not taking that personally, right? A lot of times when there's been a relationship, whether it's been a good relationship or a bad relationship, we tend to take it very personally. If it's a bad relationship, right, we tend to take it to this place of like, I could have done, what did I do wrong? Stuff like that. We're asking those kinds of questions instead of saying, what went right? You know, what did I do, but maybe the other person didn't do? It's sort of a way for us to discern what we would want in a partner. So you can view it as the end all be all. You can view it that way if you want to, but you could also view it as you learning life lessons. And sometimes the only way for us to learn life lessons, if we're very stubborn, is to have a partner that treats us badly, to have a partner that does not treat us well, because through that lesson, hey there, D, through that lesson, we realize our value, we realize our worth, right? So the spiritual maturity here is coming into this line of saying, you know what, if you want to leave, if you want to do this, if you want to do whatever, go, do it, you know? But it's hard sometimes. It's hard to have this spiritual maturity. And I feel like we live in a society where a lot of women, okay, men too, but I feel like a lot of women have more of this emotional understanding of the world. Men don't. And it creates this sense of like, it's almost like you're battling. It's almost like emotion versus logic, okay? And it should never be that way because each of those has their place. And I'm not saying that women aren't logical. I'm not, or that men aren't emotional. What I'm saying is that there seems to be such a disconnect from one to the other, right? There seems to be such a huge disconnect. And that's what, in my opinion, creates these problems. Also, the idea of romanticism does not help, okay? Romanticism being that, you know, those Lifetime movies and those Disney movies you watched, it ended happily ever after, and the couples were able to read each other's minds, and there was never anything to worry about. That's a bunch of bullshit, okay? I'll tell you right now. You should always communicate what's on your mind. You should never think that your partner knows what you're thinking, okay? I'm a psychic, I'm a medium. I never know what my partner's thinking. That's a good thing. But she tells me how she's feeling. She tells me what's going on with her so that way I understand what's going on. We should never be mind readers. or as I've said many times on the channel, investiguessers. Okay, that's an investigator that guesses. You can imagine how useful that is, because you're always going to be wrong because you're guessing. You're saying, I think they're doing this because of this. I think they're acting this way because this happened. You should have a partner you can talk to. You should have someone that you can say, why are you doing this? What's going on? And then they tell you what's going on, instead of you having to pry it out, instead of you having to be in that situation. Okay, so the next card we have here is abundance. Ooh, there we go. Abundance right here. All right. When I see this card, when I see the abundance card, it's getting to be that time of year again for me, where it's Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and The Hobbit, right? This card here reminds me of Smaug, I don't know how you say his name, but the dragon that's in the cave. In this case, though, I see the abundance being a hidden treasure trove, finding something. When it feels like we're kind of losing ourselves, what can actually happen is we're finding our path. Because when we let go of identity and we let go of those kinds of limiting ideas, we can actually embrace something much, much bigger, much better. But we have to let go of those limiting ideas first. And the reason why I'm talking about identity specifically is because it is not real. Our identities are not real. They are constructs that we've made up to interact with other people. Our identities are malleable, or they should be. We should be able to change. We should be able to flow freely from different states. But we lock ourselves into one way of thinking, one way of being, and then we say, okay, this is me for the rest of my life until I die, the end. Okay? That sounds kind of weird, right? I mean, you should change, you should evolve. There should be something along the way that sparks your interest. There should be things that kind of turn your soul inside out and upside down. There should be something that sparks that with us. If there isn't, something's missing, okay? It's not a bad thing that something's missing, but it means we need to go on this inner journey. It means we need to find our own sense of abundance. So a lot of times when people or situations have left us in a state of, let's say, dire searching, right? Kind of like we're searching for that lost contact lens. Sometimes when we lose that lens, that perception of reality that we've been holding on to, that can be a good thing, because it means we can look up and we can see things with new eyes. We can see things with a new way of being, instead of having this huge cognitive bias on how we focus on things. Okay, so it's important for us to let us find ourselves, find the path. Okay, now we have this one. I did shuffle these cards. I promise I did. This was in the Aquarius or the Aries reading. Okay, this is Luminosity. Hold on. This is Luminosity in reverse. I'm trying to get that camera to focus, but Luminosity in reverse. I kind of see the Virgin Mary, or I see something along those lines. Funny you said contact them. D, I'm here to provide the jokes. I'm here to get the yucks as much as I can. I'm glad you appreciate it. So Luminosity in reverse is a card where I'm feeling like it's kind of going into the divine, and because there's a woman on the card, it's kind of going into the divine feminine and focusing on healing. Where luminosity would be kind of this feeling of like glowing outward and people can feel your aura and there's this sense of excitement or jubilation, right? There's that kind of feeling of bliss probably. Where luminosity is in reverse, it's time for us to go within and it's time for us to inspect ourselves. Things can be going well in our physical environment with abundance. That does not mean that we're not going through difficulty. That does not mean that we're not going through hard times, okay? People experience different levels of pain in a different way. And our level of pain is meant to be experienced by us. And if anyone is trying to talk us out of feeling the way we feel, that's not right. We're allowed to feel hurt, even if we're billionaires, okay? Even if that's the case, we're allowed to have hardships. We're allowed to feel like things are not working. And we're allowed to have fall aparts. Because after we have a breakdown, we generally have a breakthrough, right? That's something that can happen. That's something that we need to allow to happen. But we have to let go of the process of maybe being emotionally ugly for a little bit. We have to let go of that and then embrace the fact that messiness, this emotional messiness, is the thing that will help us. It's the thing that will cure us, not holding on to everything and pretending it's all okay. All right? If you're having a bad day, have a bad day. If someone has a problem with it, screw them. It doesn't matter. You get to have a bad day. It's your life. You have to live with yourself 24 hours, 7 days a week, your whole damn life. You have to live with yourself. Wouldn't you want to make yourself happy? Wouldn't you want to make yourself happy before you made other people happy? I think so. And the way you do that is to be authentic and genuine with yourself. If I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. I let myself have it. I don't like having a bad day. It's not like I look forward to it, but I'm having a bad day, so I let myself do that. I let myself go through that kind of procedure, right? Okay, so let's shuffle these cards and see what we got for Cancer. Okay, one more. Let's do one more shuffle here. All right, so Spirit, tarot cards, what do we need to know with what we've been talking about for Cancer? What do we need to know? Okay, so here's what we got here. We got, wow, never had those two cards together before. Okay, so we have spiritual maturity. Okay, spiritual maturity card. You guys know it. You guys love it. It's the Illuminati triangle there at the very top, looking down, being all conspiracy and shit. Then we have the Fountain card. Okay. This card is not found in any other tarot deck, and you'll notice that its major arcana number is infinity. In fact, I would say this is above the major arcana in terms of energy, but also below the minor arcana in terms of energy. The Fountain card is allowing us to just be. If we feel like we're spiritually mature, if we feel like we're going through a process of immense change and energy shift, let's let ourselves do that. We allow ourselves to just be. Any sort of spiritual practice or spiritual maturity is seeing things for what they are and not trying to turn them into anything we want them to be. The reason why we suffer and the reason why we have pain is because we're holding on to a specific outcome when we label something as one thing, and then it turns out to be another way, and that causes our own sense of suffering. We desire to have something happen. It does not happen, and so we are sad because our desire is not met. Okay? So that's the way I would view the Fountain card. We need to allow ourselves to be. We need to allow ourselves to have this sense of allowing ourselves to breathe, allowing ourselves to feel like it's okay for us to go through whatever it is we're going through. Okay, so then we have Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups in reverse next to Abundance right here. And this is something that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to say this again. Okay, maybe this resonates, maybe it doesn't. But to me, this is how I'm reading the card. Abundance, okay, this could be having an overly abundant physical environment, or maybe even having really good friends or having really good family, but then feeling like you shouldn't be sad, feeling like something happened and I shouldn't be sad, I shouldn't feel this way, I shouldn't, but you are. And we need to recognize it and we need to feel it instead of thinking, but everything else is going good, just this one thing happened, I shouldn't feel sad, I should keep a stiff upper lip, I should do this, I should do that. No. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We are human, okay? Human beings. We are not human doings. Meaning the only thing that we have to do in our life is to be. And that is really hard. That is really hard for some people, myself included sometimes. But just allow ourselves to be. Allow ourselves to feel the passive energy of the day. Allow ourselves to be the observers of life instead of trying to hold on and squeeze every ounce of contrived control that we can to make ourselves feel better. Let things happen. Okay, when we hold on too tightly, we kill the very thing that we're trying to nurture. Okay, which is us. All right. And this can actually be described as anal retentive energy too. This could be someone who holds on and we don't let go because we feel like that gives us a sense of control and that gives us a sense of power by holding on when really it causes suffering where there doesn't need to be suffering. So we're going through lessons that are harder than they need to be because we feel like that's the right way to do it. We feel like if life is a struggle and life is difficult, then it's worthwhile. It's not always the case. Sometimes we self-sabotage and we do these things to ourselves, right? So then we have Luminosity in reverse, okay? And we have 10 of Swords upright, right? Look at this person, okay? 10 of Swords is a lot of mental energy, a lot of anguish, a lot of insomnia, a lot of anxiety. And Luminosity in reverse, this could be something where maybe our partner or someone left and it caused a sense of feeling very, very off kilter. Like it feels very hard for us to come back to our senses, to be ourselves. And I'm here to tell you that it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be difficult for you to find yourself after something has happened that could be devastating. Because we're developing something new and we need to nurture that new process. It's sort of like if you have a cut, like a deep cut, right? And at first, I mean, it hurts. It's not fun to have the deep cut. It eventually starts to heal. It eventually starts to come back to itself. But for a while, it's not normal. It doesn't feel like it's normal. It feels like everything's kind of topsy-turvy. That's why when we're going through the emotions, we have to go through it. We have to go through it because whatever emotions that we bury alive. We are burying the emotions alive, and they will come back like zombies in some other way, shape, or form. It could be us blowing up at a colleague or a family member later on. But ultimately, if we don't heal from the people who cut us, right? If we don't heal from the people who gave us this trauma, we'll bleed on anyone that comes our way that tries to get closer with us. It's important for us to look at this and to heal ourselves. And so the 10 of Swords in this situation is telling you that I feel like right now what you're going through, it's going to be difficult mentally. There's going to be a lot of energy that's going to be spent on this. But eventually there will be a new beginning. The 10 of Swords is always getting ready to start with the 1 of Swords again, which is a new way of thinking, a new way of being, and hopefully more self-respect, hopefully more of a sense of like, I can do this, I've got this, that kind of energy, okay? So Cancer, hopefully that helps you moving forward here. And it's something that, hold on. Okay. Hopefully that helps, Cancer. So D, that's the end of the Cancer reading. I'll get ready to go for the Capricorn reading here. But you said, what happened to me? I lashed out. I can't help myself. And for a long time. And that's something that can happen. We lash out, right? We sort of become like wild animals when we've been deeply wounded, or when there's been a core wound or trauma that's been triggered. We turn into an animalistic-like state. We lash out. A lot of times we're not going to make sense. A lot of times when we lash out, it seems very angry and it seems very anxiety-induced, and people will not be able to understand where it's coming from because it's something that just kind of happens, right? And we can't control it in that moment. We cannot control ourselves when we lash out. What we can do is we can learn how to get better with this. We can learn how to respond instead of react. That takes time. And that's us working on, our issues. That's us working on the things that we have going on there. But it's not always a pretty, that's the one thing I want to say. It's not a pretty process going through this. It shouldn't have to be. My dark night of the soul, not a pretty process at all. It was not pretty. I wouldn't want anyone there watching that, but it's meant to be there for us to experience something. A lot of times these dark nights of the soul, these things that happened, they're meant for us to understand ourselves on a deeper level. If we didn't have something pushing us in that kind of direction, then we wouldn't learn anything. And a lot of times, for one reason or another, humans do not learn anything unless there is pain attached to it. Pain and suffering is an incredible teacher, but we have to understand the lesson that the teacher is giving us first. Because at first we're like, man, that pain and suffering, woo! The homework from that class, that teacher is insane. but ultimately it teaches us more about ourselves through pain and suffering than we would learn from 1,000 years of happiness. Does that make sense? The only way humans can learn lessons is if we need to grow, if we're uncomfortable, if we're suffering, if there's pain. That's generally where we can learn. From that state, we can either become better or we can become bitter, right? And so we have a choice in how we respond and we react. I'm making it sound much more black and white than it actually is, but that's because I'm wearing this and it's black and white. Pretty comfortable little jacket too. But yeah, so what do you guys think of that? What do you, I feel like I was connecting there with D. Good, I'm glad it makes sense. I'm glad it makes sense. So we're going to be moving on to Capricorn here. All right. If you guys want to, you can do a reading with me down in the link below. I give you accurate information. I get you guys on with your life. And I also do energy healing as well for either emotional or physical things that are going on to help you guys feel better. Right? Hey, Kiru, how are you doing? You were right. Better is. Yeah, so if we find ourselves in a situation where it's hard for us to kind of get control of ourselves, let's take some time and let's do that. Good. I'm doing great, Kiru. I'm actually I'm getting ready to do Capricorn's reading next. And so you guys are going to see me hop on and off of here multiple times tonight doing these readings. So if you guys want to, you can join me for the Capricorn reading. Give me about 2 or 3 minutes and I'll be live again. If you don't, I can understand that. Kiru, I thank you for stopping by, and D, thank you for stopping by as well. And if you guys would like and subscribe to the video, and also if you guys want to work with me privately, please feel free to reach out and do that. No, Kiru, I haven't done Leo yet. That's gonna be a little bit of a ways off, so haven't done Leo yet, but we'll get that started here in a little while. So Capricorn, Gemini, Gemini, and then Leo, and then Pisces. So we're still a little bit of a ways away. Okay. I'll see you guys here in a little bit. Everyone take care. All right. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I will see you guys in just a minute.